Yeas are 216. The nays are 210. The resolution is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. The office of Speaker of the House of the United States House of Representatives is hereby declared vacant.
Wow. First time ever in history.
All right, that is a stunner. You have never seen what you see unfolding now in the well of the House in American history. A speaker essentially kicked out of his job. We don't know the breakdown of Democrats and Republicans, if any Democrats at all had voted to keep Kevin McCarthy in that position. We do know here that this holds 216 enough to say that Kevin McCarthy will step down. What he does after that, anyone's guess, whether he puts his name back in the hat.
Historic breaking news coming out that Kevin McCarthy has been removed from Speaker of the House. This has never happened before. We currently do not have a speaker to pass legislation. Everything is stopped. What's going to be unfolding from here? We've literally heard members of Congress say they don't know. Now, it was Matt Gaetz who was pushing for this. We're going to be hearing from him. Take a look here. This is his statement coming out after Kevin McCarthy has been removed from Speaker of the House.
Talking to reporters outside the Capitol right now.
Congressman Gaetz, if not McCarthy, then...
Paralyzed the House of Representatives today. To whose benefit? People have called you a narcissist. People say that is to your benefit alone. Is it to the benefit of you and to Donald Trump?
It's the benefit of this country that we have a better Speaker of the House than Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy couldn't keep his word. He made an agreement in January regarding the way Washington would work, and he violated that agreement. We are $33 trillion in debt. We are facing $2.2 trillion annual deficits. We face a de-dollarization globally that will crush Americans, working class Americans. Kevin McCarthy is a feature of the swamp. He has risen to power by collecting special interest money and redistributing that money in exchange for favors. We are breaking the fever now, and we should elect a speaker who's better.
So if not Kevin McCarthy, then who? Then who?
You said last night that Steve Scalise was a name that you floated to potentially be speaker. Where do things stand right now? If not McCarthy, then who?
Well, the stages of grief, I think, are in progress right now with some of my colleagues. I think there was a stage of denial, and I've certainly experienced a good amount of their anger, and now we appear to be headed toward bargaining. I think the world of Steve Scalise. I think he'd make a phenomenal speaker.
We've got less than 45.
I'm afraid of $33 trillion in debt crushing the working people in my district. I'm afraid of the dollar losing its status as the global reserve currency. If they want to expel me, let me know when they have the vote.
We've got less than 45 days left before we've got less than 45 days left before you have to pass a budget, which is something that you've been wanting to do. Doesn't this just completely paralyze the House? I mean, we could see 15 more rounds.
I don't think we will. I think Kevin McCarthy should take a hint. After 15 ballots to become Speaker, after 8 months of a failed speakership, and after removal in this historic manner, I think we should move on and find somebody else. What's paralyzed the House of Representatives has been the failure of Speaker McCarthy. What paralyzed the House of Representatives was not taking up appropriations bills. We left for a 6-week vacation while the appropriations process hung in the balance. And because I forced these people to take a few votes, you think I'm paralyzing the House of Representatives? I think the House of Representatives has been paralyzed for the last several decades as we've refused to pass a budget, as we've governed by continuing resolution and omnibus bill. So I think that this represents the ripping off of the Band-Aid, and that's what we need to do to get back on track.
How do you pass anything if 200 Republicans? How do you pass anything?
What do you say to your colleagues who argue you don't have another name right now? You don't have someone else who could get 218 votes. What do you tell those colleagues?
Well, I would tell them that for certain Kevin McCarthy can't get 218 votes, so let's try the next person.
How do you pass something with
pro tem, obviously?
There would have to be a real meeting of the minds there.
Congressman Gaetz, how do you pass something if there's 200 Republicans?
Somebody else has another question.
Are you going to ask for a guarantee from whoever is floated as a candidate for the next speaker for them to actually move the appropriations process along in a speed that satisfies you?
Yes.
Congressman, at this point,
so will you be putting yourself forward for the speakership?
Absolutely not. I have no desire to be Speaker of the House.
How do you pass, Congressman, with all due respect, how do you pass something if you don't have 200 Republicans behind you?
I know we've already asked about names, but what about Emmer and others?
I think the world of Tom Emmer. He'd make a great speaker.
Congressman, are you going to have you spoken with Scalise? Have you spoken with Emmer?
I've spoken with him, but I'll probably keep our conversations between us.
Congressman, take the speaker to require.
What was going through your head when the vote gavelled down and it was official McCarthy wasn't speaker?
Just we got to move to the next step. You know, we are not at the end of this process. Okay, at most we're approaching halftime. We've got to be able to assemble a governing coalition. We have to build from a place of trust. The reason Kevin McCarthy went down today is because nobody trusts Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy has made multiple contradictory promises, and when they all came due, he lost votes of people who maybe don't even ideologically agree with me on everything. Take, for example, my colleague from South Carolina, Ms. Mace. She has different views than I do on a variety of subjects, but what we had in common, Kevin McCarthy lied to all of us.
Congressman, hold on a second. You're saying that nobody trusts Kevin McCarthy, but you're talking about, including yourself, about 7 Republicans compared to about 200 and about, some odd Republicans who actually do trust him. So can you kind of explain that here?
Well, as it turns out, getting 200 Republicans to trust you isn't enough to stay speaker.
Compared to 7 Republicans.
At this point,
have you spoken to former President Trump about this since the ousting? Was he supportive of what you were doing?
I have spoken to President Trump over the last several days. The ousting only occurred several minutes ago, so we haven't spoken during that time.
President Trump, though, put on Truth Social that he didn't think this was a good idea. He didn't want to see Republicans fighting with other Republicans. How do you respond to the former president?
I would say that my conversations with the former president leave me with great confidence that I'm doing the right thing.
Did the former president call you today? Did the former president call you today?
Who are concerned about the future of the conservative agenda in the House GOP?
I would say that the conservative agenda was being paralyzed by Speaker McCarthy. We hadn't even sent a subpoena to Hunter Biden. Our oversight was lackluster. Our spending priorities were misaligned. The top-line budget was going to lead to more inflation, more debt, more challenges. So the best way to advance the conservative agenda is to move forward with a new speaker.
What is the end game?
Are you going to require that any future speaker elected allows the motion to vacate to stay at a one-person threshold?
Yes.
Congressman Gaetz,
Considering that Steve Scalise votes in line with Speaker McCarthy most of the time, why should he want the job after this just happened?
Well, that's a question for him, I guess, not me.
He said he's uninterested. He's already said he's
I haven't heard him say that.
No, he's already.
What has he said to you?
Well, here's what I would say. Here's what I say. I think a lot of members are going to reflect on their thinking after this historic moment. I think anything that people have said before the McCarthy ouster is probably bearing less weight than the way people may be thinking about these questions after the McCarthy ouster.
What is the end game?
Comments about Steve Scalise yesterday and today. Will you yourself nominate Steve Scalise for Speaker of the House?
Maybe. I want to hear from him. I mean, I'm not here to make a judgment on where Mr. Scalise stands with his rehabilitation and recovery. I would give him the deference to be able to decide whether or not he'd like to put himself forward as a candidate, but he'd be the type of person that I could see myself supporting. There are many people, though. I could see myself supporting Tom Emmer. I could see myself supporting Mike Johnson of Louisiana. I could see myself supporting Jody Arrington of Texas. I could see myself supporting Kevin Hearn.
So there you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'll keep you up to date on this. As we mentioned, this is historic, has never happened before. We're going to be seeing who becomes the new Speaker of the House, and if they're going to be able to get this done in time. They've got 45 to 47 days with the stopgap funding bill before the government shuts down, so I'll keep you up to date. Now, in addition to that, I've let you know about some of the things going on with Social Security and Medicare. To get the latest, be sure to check out these videos right here, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.